Hey everybody, Cam here with a video on Tuesday, May 11th. So had a pretty big sell-off overnight across all stock market indices. Kicking myself as I didn't buy Apple short into the close of aftermarket yesterday. Would have been a big play, but most companies indices put in their lows in pre-markets and bounced. Here you see QQQ, Invesco's ETF for Nasdaq. Started down here, opened at 319, got pushed back up. We poked in, we were green a little bit towards the end of the day. Sell-off occurred, closed at 325.31. Just couldn't claim that 326 level. And sign with that is, we had this huge volume today. As you can see, mixed volume here. A ton of it's buying, but the buying pressure wasn't able to clear yesterday's lows. So we'll have to see how things opens tomorrow, right? So it's still from the last 3 days, actually in the last 2 weeks, the high from 3.428, right? So we still have this downward pressure, right? The trend is now moving down. The EMAs are moving down. So I think a likely play next couple days could be, we push back up in the moving averages, try to test them, and then likely fail. But who knows with this market? We could keep going higher. And one reason I think why there was a big bounce today was, if we go here to Twitter, saw this tweet. I couldn't find any actual news articles talking about it, but the U.S. Fed accept 181 billion in daily reverse repo operation. It was awarded at 0%, so they basically gave out the money for free to 28 bidders. So those 28 bidders were all banks, and then they can go immediately and leverage this money out multiple times over into derivatives. And if you saw my video from last week, that when I do a recap of the entire stock market, they don't get very many views. I think that has to do with tagging and just searching through YouTube how the algorithm's working. But last Tuesday, the repo rate was actually negative. It was down like -4%. So there is a lot of liquidity problems. There's different speculation that banks and the Fed are fighting right now on tightening and loosening the liquidity rates. And it's just with the current environment in any fiat system, right? As soon as the faucet gets turned off, things start sinking, right? It's a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it. As soon as you turn that faucet off, water's going to start rushing out, and that's what's going to happen when they start raising interest rates. So really, if we go back to Think or Swim, here you look at, this is SPY on the news over here on the left, but basically everything news related today was, the Fed trying to ease fears. A couple here about Israel and that, but it's just continually the Fed's trying to ease fears. A lot of people aren't buying what they're selling right now, so we'll have to wait and see what happens, right? So opinions don't matter, the charts what matters. So you see here on the left, just quite a few tech stocks ended up green on the day. Apple, Tesla, Google, Microsoft ended red. So this video we're going to just go back to Tesla and those electric vehicle plays. So you see here, gap down below the triangle, right? So I mentioned in the video yesterday, you'd like to see this triangle act as support. So we immediately gap through it in pre-market, after-market hours. And then now, as the market, tried to gap fill back up from yesterday, so did Tesla. We ran back into that triangle, and now that triangle is acting as resistance, right? So multiple points, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, if it was likely to fail, fourth time is usually not the charm. As the more times the resistance or support is tested, the more likely it is to fail. So it failed today, and then once resistance or support fails, it then acts as the opposite. So if it was support, it acts as resistance. If it was resistance, it acts as support. So now acting as resistance. So we'll go to the 5-minute chart here. See, pretty significant move down, all in aftermarket hours. Got down to 578, and then strong movement back up to 625, and really couldn't get to yesterday's close or yesterday's low, right? So we basically form kind of a ascending triangle here, and we got to the lows later in the day, but we had this ascending triangle formed through mid-morning, right? So basically a triple top, ascending triangle. We'll draw it right here just real quick. Right here, still same levels, probably pretty close to hold. We wicked through it, but sold off it again, and then this triangle basically held until the end of the day. We see here moving lower after hours again for Tesla. So we could have some more news coming out on Tesla. A lot of things on Twitter were kind of bashing Tesla more Elon Musk and the Dogecoin stuff, talking about since everything's gone on Doge and crypto related, Tesla's actually been selling off. But we'll look to see if we get a bounce. I think Tesla, the next couple of days is just going to follow what the other tech stocks do, and if the Fed keeps doing insane repos daily, right? So that $180 billion was a daily rate, so there'll be another rate for tomorrow. So we'll just have to see what happens, right? But also corresponding with the line, we do have that standard dev level 623. So we do have overhead resistance right there. So we're going to need an increase in volume to go again. But we did have an increase in volume today, 46 million, which is the most it's had since the 14th, the big down day, after it's moved higher. So we'll look to see if Tesla can find momentum for tomorrow. Right now, for me, right. So this, I'm not going to take a play on Tesla overnight. I think it's tomorrow to see what the next candle is, right? So this is just a pure gap down, try to fill the gap. Usually, we could see upward momentum, but we're pretty close to this line. I think it's going to act as resistance. So really, if there's a play tomorrow, it would be on the break of this resistance line going higher, and then also you have the opposite play there. If that resistance line hold, look to go short, and then here target would be the low of today with 578. That smacked this 200 EMA, so that would be a target to the downside if that's possible. Target upside would be the 9 EMA. That'll probably move down into the 650, higher 650 somewhere. We'll just have to wait and see. But from there, we'll go to NIO. So NIO actually went green on the day, pretty incredible. When we go down to the 5 minute, you see the pre-market move. All right, so pre-market, pretty insane sell-off overnight, 34.37. 30.5, so down almost 14%. In pre-market, got the same structure as Tesla, except the triangle in the day. All right, so the ascending triangle actually broke through and actually closed right about on it. You see after hours still here moving down a little bit, but that's also just consolidation from these standard Ds, as we have been in a downtrend for NIO for quite some time now. And here, according to the 5 minute chart, we are closed at a good chunk of volume, so we could see this act as a point of support or inflection for tomorrow. We'll go back to the daily chart, see why we bounced around that $30 area. Right, so I mentioned in the other video, we kind of had this triple bottom going here. Right, so with the hammer, long term we could have done a triangle, but I had threw it here, and I took it off just because that 34 fib level is basically intact on it, but we failed through that. Right, and then now we're looking for this hammer to act as support. Right, so we've got that hammer all the way down to 32. Right, so that's basically where we came back and opened at. We put in that low off the open, but moved back through it. So that pre-market buying pressure, we want to look and find out where that came from. We get down to 30 bucks. Right, so we get down into 30. We kind of have one blip down here in the 29.4, but I think it's more likely that, didn't get it at all. That psychological level of being a whole dollar down here. You could also say we do have a rising standard dev 1.5 level down there at the bottom. If we look at weekly, see if we can find something there. Not really, not a lot of volume around that $30 area, but that's where buyers came in pre-market. So if NIO's downtrend continues, I think that $30 area would be another area to look for support resistance long term. Not necessarily tomorrow or throughout the end of this week, but who knows how we move. Here, I think NIO's actually got a better look to go higher. So this would be called, we gap down, fill the gap, and then you could call this a piercing pattern where the candle closed inside of the prior day's red candle. The high is close to that 50%, so you could play 3-bar 50%. But I think target upside here again would just be these EMAs at 209, around that $36.5 area for tomorrow. And then we'll go to XPEV. So XPEV obviously going to look very similar to the others. Here, even big sell-off as well. So closed yesterday 25.46 down to 23, so over 10% again. Put in that bottom big wick candle off the open, and then we had the ascending triangle just like the others, a little bit weaker, as we didn't even make a true double top here. All right, so we kind of have this. Oh, that's wrong line. So we do have this descending. Give me a click here. Let's go from here. Triangle. So we'll look to see how we can break out of this tomorrow for Xpeng. Let's go back out to the daily. All right, so here, somewhat more similar to Tesla, we pushed up into the lows a little bit, weren't able to close above the low from yesterday, right? Closed 24.93, low yesterday 25.02. So if we find weakness again around the 25.02 level tomorrow, that'll be an entry for me to go short. We break that 25.02, that'll be a signal for me to look to go long. So that's what I got for you guys. Kind of a longer video talking about the repo stuff, but hope you got something out of it. Be prepared. I think still continually that the stock market's going to dip. The Fed's shown that it's going to buy that dip. So if you have long-term holdings, I wouldn't be frightened until they announce rate increases. But tech plays are going to be volatile going forward with a lot of things going on in the market. So money is to be made in the short term. So appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. Hope you got something out of it. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are, and we'll see you in the next one.